Cesar Millan, the renowned dog whisperer, left everyone stunned when he collapsed in court upon hearing his sentence. Fans watched in shock as the man who had built an empire on dog training appeared powerless over his own fate. For years, he was celebrated as the ultimate authority on dog behavior, but behind the scenes, his life was far from perfect. Public criticism, personal struggles, and mounting legal troubles had been weighing on him. Now, everything had come crashing down in the most dramatic way. What led to this shocking moment, and what comes next? The full story unfolds as his legal battles take center stage. For years, Cesar Millan reigned as the king of dog training. He was the dog whisperer, known for transforming even the most aggressive dogs into calm, obedient companions. Millions of fans admired him, and his techniques became legendary. However, not everyone was convinced. Animal rights activists and modern dog trainers began to challenge his methods, calling them outdated and even harmful. As the dog training industry evolved, Millan found himself constantly defending his reputation. The pressure to remain at the top while adjusting to new standards took a heavy toll on him. Then the legal troubles began. It all started in 2006 when a television producer filed a lawsuit against Millan, alleging that his dog had been choked and forced to run on a treadmill at Millan's Dog Psychology Center. This was only the beginning. His legal troubles continued to mount. In 2015, another lawsuit emerged when a Florida nurse sued Millan after being attacked by a dog that had recently been released from his facility. A troubling pattern was becoming clear. Dogs trained under Millan's methods were now at the center of serious allegations. One of the most shocking cases surfaced in 2021 when gymnast Lydia Maddie sued Millan for $850,000, claiming that his dog Junior had attacked her years earlier. The lawsuit took an unexpected turn when Matisse alleged that Junior had also killed Queen Latifah's dog. She argued that Millan should have known the dog was dangerous. Millan denied all accusations, and requests for comments from him and Queen Latifah went unanswered. In court documents, he firmly rejected Matisse's claims. Ultimately, the lawsuit was settled out of court, but the damage to his reputation was undeniable. By the time Millan appeared in court for his latest legal battle, the weight of years of controversy, criticism, and lawsuits had become impossible to ignore. This was no longer just a legal dispute. It was about his entire identity. The man once known for his ability to control any dog now seemed unable to control his own destiny. But before facing these challenges, how did Cesar Millan rise to fame? Cesar Millan's story is often described as a classic tale of rags to riches. A young man from Mexico pursuing the American dream. While that is partly true, his journey was anything but easy. He gained worldwide recognition as the dog whisperer. But his life away from the cameras was filled with struggles, setbacks, and unexpected turns. His deep connection with dogs began at an early age. Growing up on his grandfather's farm in Sinaloa, Mexico, he was always surrounded by animals, but dogs stood out. He had an instinctive way of communicating with them, as if they understood him without words. Wherever he went, dogs followed. Although that might sound like a dream for any dog lover, it also made him a target for ridicule. Children in his town mocked him, calling him El Perrero, meaning dirty dog boy. However, Millan never let the teasing deter him. Instead, he remained committed to his goal. He wanted to be the best dog trainer in the world. By the age of 13, he had a vision. Watching impeccably trained dogs on television shows like Lassie and Rin Tin Tin, he realized where he needed to go, Hollywood. He was convinced that his talent would be recognized there, and nothing would stand in his way. At 21, he set his plan into motion. With only $100 in his pocket, he left home and traveled to a bus station in Tijuana. His objective was to cross the border into the United States, but the journey was not going to be easy. When he discovered a hole in the border fence, he thought he had found a way in until he was stopped and forced to pay $100 to pass. That was all the money he had. In an instant, he entered the U.S. with nothing. No money, no contacts, no home, and barely any English. Despite the difficult start, Millan refused to give up. His transformation from an undocumented immigrant with a dream to a globally recognized dog expert is nothing short of remarkable. But as his empire expanded, so did the challenges that came with it. How did the dirty dog boy from Mexico become an international sensation? And what happened when the foundation of his success began to crumble? Cesar Millan's journey in America began under incredibly difficult circumstances. With no money, no home, and limited English skills, he found himself homeless on the streets of San Diego. He slept under a freeway and survived on convenience store hot dogs. At the time, 2 hot dogs cost 99 cents, so his daily goal was simple: find a way to earn at least $1. It wasn't an easy life, but he never lost sight of his dream. His first real job in the U.S. came at a dog grooming shop. The only English sentence he had learned was, "Do you have an application for work?" That one phrase opened doors for him. The shop owners were immediately impressed by his confidence, particularly in handling large and aggressive dogs that others struggled with. It was clear he had a unique talent. After moving to Englewood, Millan took his ambitions further. He started offering group dog walking services, but with an unconventional approach. He allowed the dogs to roam off-leash. While this wasn't exactly legal, it quickly attracted attention. Before long, word spread about the Mexican guy who can walk a pack of dogs. One of his early celebrity clients was Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Not only did they hire him, but they also paid for him to take a year of English lessons. This investment helped Millan grow his business at an even faster pace. Eventually, he earned enough to open the Dog Psychology Center in South Central Los Angeles. His skill in rehabilitating difficult dogs set him apart, and in 2002, the Los Angeles Times featured a story about him. That article became a turning point in his life. Suddenly, TV producers were reaching out, eager to turn his training methods into a show. Millan soon became the host of Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan, while Animal Planet showed little interest beyond a pilot episode. The National Geographic Channel took a chance and ordered 26 episodes. The show quickly became a massive success, making Millan a household name. However, fame also brought challenges. In 2006, he faced legal trouble twice in the same week. First, his former publicist and her partner sued him, claiming they had come up with the name Dog Whisperer and were entitled to $5 million. Then, 8 Simple Rules producer Flo Suarez filed a lawsuit alleging that his dog Gator had been abused at Millan's training facility. According to Suarez, Gator had been forced to run on a treadmill with a choke chain, leaving him bruised and struggling to breathe. Surgery was required to repair the damage, with vet bills exceeding $25,000. Critics also took aim at his training methods. Pet journalist Steve Dale mocked him as the dog screamer, while British TV host Alan Titchmarsh publicly called his techniques cruel. These controversies were only the beginning of his struggles. The year 2010 proved to be one of the most challenging for Millan. It began with the devastating loss of his beloved pit bull Daddy. For 16 years, Daddy had been more than just a training partner on Dog Whisperer. He had been Millan's closest companion. His death left Millan heartbroken. However, before he could fully grieve, another blow struck. His wife of 16 years filed for divorce. As if losing Daddy and his marriage weren't difficult enough, Millan then discovered an even bigger issue. His finances were in disarray. Despite his fame, poor business decisions had left him with little to show for his success. Everything he had worked for seemed to be falling apart, and he felt completely lost. What other controversies did Millan face, and how did he resolve his legal troubles? Criticism of Williams' unconventional dog training techniques has been a major topic of discussion. Cesar Millan's training methods have long sparked debate. While many praise his ability to transform aggressive dogs, others argue that his techniques are too harsh. Among his biggest critics are animal rights organizations, including the American Humane Society, which has labeled his methods inhumane and barbaric. They even urged National Geographic to cancel his show. Their primary concerns revolved around his use of shock collars, pinning dogs to the ground, and tightening collars. Critics claimed these techniques were not only outdated, but also dangerous. One particular episode stood out. Millan restrained a difficult dog by pinning it to the ground after tightening its collar. The American Humane Society argued that this act partially restricted the dog's blood flow. To them, this was not proper training but cruelty. They believed that broadcasting such methods misled viewers into thinking force and dominance were the best ways to control their pets. As a result, they campaigned for the show's cancellation. Millan, however, defended his techniques, stating that he only applied minimal force to correct aggressive behavior. He also emphasized that his approach was just one among many, not the only method. His supporters stood by him, arguing that his techniques proved effective when other methods failed. They believed he had a profound understanding of dog behavior and that his training philosophy was often misunderstood. Amid these controversies, Millan faced personal struggles. By 2012, he reached a breaking point. His beloved dog Daddy had passed away. His marriage had ended in divorce, and financial difficulties were mounting. Everything that once gave his life purpose seemed to be slipping away. Overwhelmed by despair, he attempted to end his life by taking a large dose of pills. However, fate had other plans. His sons found him in time and rushed him to the hospital. Upon regaining consciousness, he was surrounded by fans who admired his work and loved his show. That moment proved to be a turning point. It reminded him that he still had a purpose and could continue making a difference. Although doctors prescribed antidepressants, Millan chose a different approach. Instead of medication, he relied on his philosophy of exercise, discipline, and affection. He applied the same principles to himself as he did with troubled dogs, using structure and routine to rebuild his life. Slowly but surely, he regained stability. During this period, he met Jahirada, a woman who played a crucial role in his recovery. With her support, he regained his confidence and began rebuilding his career. Before long, he returned to television with new shows like Cesar 911 and Leader of the Pack. He even collaborated with his son Calvin on Nickelodeon's Mutt and Stuff. Millan had overcome one of the darkest chapters of his life and emerged stronger than before. Over time, even the American Humane Society softened its stance on Millan. Though they had once been among his harshest critics, they later acknowledged areas of shared interest. Despite their differences, both sides ultimately wanted the same thing: to improve the lives of dogs. Cesar Millan's journey has been far from easy. From experiencing homelessness to becoming one of the most well-known dog trainers in the world, he has faced lawsuits, severe criticism, and personal hardships. Yet through it all, he persevered and kept moving forward.